y'all doing today? It's February the 21st, 2024. And I had another video idea planned for today, but this idea came to me just a little bit ago, so I kind of changed things up a little bit. But I just thought today's video would be a very important one to do, for the reason that I get so many questions from people all the time in the comments, especially on Instagram and Facebook. I get a lot of messages from people all the time. Multiple messages a day from individuals asking me certain questions. How much were you drinking before all this happened? Which I've talked about in the videos before, but there's a lot of new subscribers here. And I know they're not going to go back and watch all my old videos, but like I said, I just get so many questions all the time from people wanting to know certain things about, what I did prior to my diagnosis. And, the thing is that I think what's happening with these people asking me these questions is that I think a lot of people are trying to self-diagnose themselves. And I get it. There's a lot of people that go on Google, they go to YouTube. There's a lot of really good information out there. But at the same time, when you're trying to self-diagnose yourself, you do a Google search, I'm telling you, it's just not a good idea. The problem with it is that, first of all, if you're not a doctor, Googling things and trying to decipher what you might have going on can be rather frightening. I know for a fact because, like I've talked about, my wife, she likes to Google things sometimes, and if there's a problem with, she's got a headache or something like that, or there's some weird symptom that she's having, she'll Google it. And I tell her all the time, don't do that. And what ends up happening is she ends up going to the doctor or whatever, and then they tell her it's not that big of a deal. Or they tell her something else or whatever. And I know so many people out there that tend to Google things, and that's okay. I'm not saying don't Google anything or don't look things up, because you want to have education about these types of things. But at the same time, trying to self-diagnose yourself is just not a great idea. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about why it's so important to go to the doctor. And with that said, I've got a quote for today. And the quote goes something like this. It's, procrastination makes easy things hard and hard things harder. And that's by Mason Cooley. And that really pertains to today's video, because if you continue to procrastinate, all that's going to end up happening is just that the longer that you wait before you go see a doctor, if you're having any types of these symptoms that might be correlated with alcohol use or, abusing drugs or whatever that might be, the longer you procrastinate, the worse that the problem might become. Two, you're letting things pile up, and it's going to make it even harder for you to go, because that fear factor is just going to get even higher. You're going to be worried about going. And all I can say to you about this is, at some point, you got to rip the Band-Aid off and just go. I know how scary it is. I completely understand where you guys are coming from, that you don't want to go to a doctor, because I never wanted to go. I didn't want to go. I never went. And I regret that. And I know there's some people that don't believe in Western medicine and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. It's your body, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. But I can tell you that the advances in medicine that we have in our country, especially in America, there are a lot of things that they can do for you to improve your life, improve your health, especially if they can catch these things in an early place in an illness or a disease. Especially something like diabetes. If you go to the doctor and they tell you, hey, you're pre-diabetic, there's a lot of steps that you can take to prevent getting diabetes. You might be pre-diabetic, but if you catch it early enough and they find that and they see that your A1C is whatever number, and they say you really need to work on this, you might be able to bring it down to a certain level to where you might not have to be on insulin every single day. Hey, I never went. I've talked about this before. I had gout really bad. had multiple flare-ups. I mean, probably like 30 flare-ups of gout. And every time that I would get it, because I had been diagnosed with gout, every time I would get it, I would call my doctor and say, hey, I've got another gout flare-up. And all they would do is they just call me in a prescription for methylprednisone. I'd get the little pack and I'd take it and the gout would go away. But I never got to the root cause of the gout. And I've talked about this before as well, is that I went to the doctor the first time I was diagnosed with gout. They did x-rays, all that stuff, said there was nothing wrong with my foot. I thought I had broken my foot. It hurt that bad. Well, they took some blood, did some blood work, and then come to find out that my uric acid levels were super high. And the doctor told me, you have gout. And then he told me, he said, a lot of times gout is associated with diabetes. And he wanted me to come back to the doctor's office and do a fasting blood glucose test. Well, me being me, I never wanted to go. For one, I didn't want anybody to tell me that I had to stop drinking. Two, I was afraid of what they might tell me. And three, I just didn't want to go. I just didn't want to deal with it. You know, it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I always thought that if I just pushed it out of my mind, I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. And it would just go away. Well, it never did. And I continue to get gout flare-ups. And still to this day, sometimes I'll get a gout flare-up. I know what to do about it now. But it happens sometimes still. But I know what it's attributed to. And now I know that I have type 2 diabetes. And, you know, that's a whole nother scenario there. But I know what my health issues are now. You know, my blood sugar was always high or low or whatever it is, and I've got a better control of it. You know, I take fast-acting and long-acting insulin every single day. I take my diabetes medication in the pill form. You know, there's a bunch of medications you can take for diabetes, like metformin or Jardiance, stuff like that. My point to all this is that going to see the doctor is so important for you. And I'm begging you guys to please, if you have any symptoms, if you're starting to notice anything, if you're worried about it at all, go see a doctor. What's the worst thing they're going to tell you? Are you worried that you might have cirrhosis? Have you been drinking for a very long period of time? Well, they might tell you that you have cirrhosis, but once you get to that point, well, and they tell you you've been diagnosed, well, then you can start addressing the issues. The first thing that you have to do, the very first thing that you're going to have to do is remove the alcohol out of your life. And if you're at that point where you've got cirrhosis, you've been drinking for a pretty long time and pretty heavily, and you're probably going to need a doctor to help you out with quitting, because you don't want to go through the DTs and you don't want to have the shakes and all that kind of stuff. It can be life-threatening when you've been drinking for a long period of time, just stopping abruptly. And the doctors have all kinds of medicines in their arsenal kit that they can help you out with. They might want to actually put you in a hospital setting. You never know. But my point of it is that going to see a doctor and not procrastinating could potentially save your life. And that's why I'm talking about this today. I get so many questions from people. How much did you used to drink? Have you ever tried taking milk thistle? Have you tried any of this? Have you tried any of that? Have you tried this supplement or that supplement or whatever it may be? And the problem with that is that instead of taking the steps and going and seeing a doctor first, a lot of people are trying to take supplements and things like that in order to try to improve whatever kind of damage that they've done to themselves. Well, the first thing that you need to know is what is the damage and what can they do to improve your life and improve your health. Just at the end of the day, I just don't want to see anybody end up like me. I used to be the guy that used to, you know, fix everything with duct tape and bubble gum and zip ties. You know, if there was something wrong with me, I'd slap a piece of duct tape on it. And, you know, I was the type of guy that if I had a really bad cut, I would put super glue on it to close the wound instead of going to a doctor and getting stitches and all kinds of stuff like that. And there's so many times, instead of dealing with all the pain that I was dealing with, or, you know, a really bad cut that took me 3 months to heal when they could have done stitches and it could have healed up in a matter of like a week. So many things, so much pain that I dealt with over the years, and I was self-diagnosing myself. And I just talked about this in the video yesterday where I said that, you know, I used to take ibuprofen like it was candy, and I really did. You know, first thing when I woke up in the morning, the first thing I did was pop 2 ibuprofen. I mean, the taking the ibuprofen for me was the same as drinking. I did it out of habit. I didn't even think about it. You know, every day I woke up, I had a headache when I woke up in the morning. Like I said, I was hungover every single day. But as I continued to take that ibuprofen, you know, I was taking multiple tablets of ibuprofen every single day. Sometimes I would take 3 or 4 of them at a time. And I was destroying my body every single time I did that. And I was drinking on top of it as well. And that's so dangerous to do. I didn't know that I had varices in my stomach. I've got, you know, all these varices, and then I remember one time I ended up pancreatitis again, and they had already told me not to take ibuprofen anymore, and I went ahead and did it anyway because I thought that was going to be okay, and then I ended up getting really sick again, and then ended up throwing up blood, having stomach bleeding again, and I could have avoided that. You know, I should have just stayed away from it, but at that point, I didn't know that I had cirrhosis. They had just told me to be careful taking that stuff because, you know, I had thrown up all that blood at the beginning, the first time I got diagnosed with pancreatitis, but I didn't know I had cirrhosis and all that stuff. And if I had gone to a doctor and seen them and told them, okay, here, I'm having this pain in my side, when I was in the hospital, I didn't want to talk about any of that stuff. Not to mention, I really didn't even know what was going on the first week I was in there because I was so sedated. But the thing is that I should have talked more about the problems that I was having, the symptoms I was having, and I was hoping that everything was going to be okay, and ended up not being okay. Another thing I want to talk about too is, you know, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with supplements, because supplements are good, and there's a lot of great vitamins and things like that you can take, but at the same time, I want you guys to be careful taking those. There's a lot of information out there that you can look at, and you know, a lot of supplements, they're not all created equal, and you really want to make sure that you're taking supplements from a good source. You know, you're doing your research before you go and buy these supplements. You know, the ones at the, you know, at your regular store or whatever at the bottom shelf, those probably aren't going to be the best ones for you. You really need to do your due diligence and look online and see other people's reviews, and make sure that the supplements you're getting are being like third-party tested before you're purchasing them. There's a lot of supplements out there that have a lot of heavy metals in them, things like that. The FDA does not do any type of, they have no oversight over supplements. It's basically the wild, wild west right now, and the supplement market is so big, especially here in America. I don't know what the dollar amount is, but I'll guarantee you it's in the billions of dollars. These companies selling supplements, and sometimes some of these supplements don't even have the exact product that they say that's even in the supplement. And that's what I'm saying. Make sure that you're doing your due diligence, do your homework, and do your research, and make sure that they're third-party lab tested, and that what you're buying is actually what you're buying, and there's not heavy metals like lead and stuff like that in there. You know, one of the things that can happen with cirrhosis, and one of the reasons that some people end up with cirrhosis, is because of super high iron levels in their body. And some of these supplements might have a lot of iron in them and stuff like that. You don't want to take those types of things if you're dealing with cirrhosis right now. And that's another reason that you need to go speak with a doctor. Talk with the doctor, tell him what supplements you're thinking about taking, and get his opinion and what he thinks. Not all people are created equal. Not all liver disease is created equal. It's all different per individual. Each individual is different. Our bodies are all different. Our bodies react differently. That's why some people are allergic to peanuts, other people are not. We're all not the same. Some people can drink milk, others can't. And to put this one size fits all label and that's it is just ridiculous, and it doesn't work that way. You know, I get some people that'll come here and they'll say, oh, you have to do this and you have to do that. And it's like, that's it. There's no other way around it. And that's not true. Each person is their own individual, and each person's body and their illness or whatever it may be is completely different to each individual. And that's why going to see a doctor, having your lab work done, having them do a full check on you, getting your yearly physicals done is so important. I didn't have my first physical done until last year. I'm 44 years old. My first physical was in January of last year. I was 43 years old when I had my first physical done ever in my life, other than when I was like 18 years old. I waited that long. If I had gone and seen my doctor and told him, hey, I'm drinking this much, can you check me out? Can you feel my liver? Can you do this? They probably would have told me to stop drinking a long time ago, and I would not be where I'm at right now. Now, like I said, you know, I'm here now, and this is the life that I have. And I'm grateful that I have my life. I'm grateful that I'm still here, and I'm grateful that I'm here to talk with you guys every single day, because I feel like this channel is really bringing awareness, and it's helping certain individuals out, and that's all I want to do. And so I've talked about the supplements. Another thing I want to talk about too, speaking about the supplements, I'll look and see if I can find the link for this video, but there was a young lady in Texas. I watched this video a couple months ago, but there was a young lady in Texas. She was a cheerleader, and she was taking supplements, and I don't remember exactly what supplements that she was taking, but she was taking supplements for some reason. She wasn't even on the supplements for a very long period of time, started experiencing really bad liver pain and all this stuff. Well, guess what ended up happening to her? She was like in her 20s. She had to have a liver transplant done because the supplements she was taking were tainted. They weren't good. And she, in her 20s, had to have a liver transplant because of that. And having a liver transplant is not like, you know, just going to the dentist and having a cavity filled. We're talking about a very major surgery that has to be done there. There's a lot of risk factors that come along with having a liver transplant. I mean, there are so many things that could go wrong with that, not to mention, you know, you're going to have to take all kinds of drugs for the rest of your life to keep your body from rejecting the new liver and all kinds of stuff like that. So my point is that you might be able to find out something and stop it. Opposed to saying, oh, I'm going to take milk thistle. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with milk thistle or dandelion root or any of that kind of stuff. I'm not here to judge anybody or say anything like that. What I'm saying is that don't just get on Amazon, hop on there and buy a bottle of milk thistle and start taking that and thinking that everything's going to be all honky-dory, because that's just not the way it works. Please do your due diligence and go see your doctor and see what they say. And ask them about the supplements that you want to start taking. Ask them about milk thistle or dandelion root or any of these other types of supplements, and tell them what brand or whatever and get their opinion and see what they say. I would much rather a doctor tell me, yeah, this is A-okay to take and whatnot, and then you can go ahead and move on and take that supplement, or they might tell you, no, you know, your kidneys can't handle that right now, so please don't take it. And that's the point that I'm trying to make here. Is that, yeah, there are some really great supplements out there, and there's some things that you can do, but please talk with your doctor first before you jump on those things, because there might be another underlying thing that's there that you might not even be aware of, that they might find, and they might go, oh, hold no, you can't take that because XYZ is going on, and this might cause this to happen if you take the supplement with this other problem that you're having. So I'm just saying, just please go and speak with a doctor about whatever you have going on, whatever your symptoms may be. If you're having pain in your liver, definitely go see a doctor. That's not normal. If you're having pain on your left quadrant where your pancreas is, please go see a doctor. That's not normal. If you're throwing up blood, go see a doctor. If you're starting to defecate blood, go see a doctor. Any of these things, if you got yellow eyes, your skin's turning yellow, there are so many things that are signs and symptoms that could tell you that you might be having an issue. And not to mention, if you don't even have any signs or symptoms, just go speak to your doctor, get a yearly physical done, and let them check you out and make sure you're okay. Hey, at the end of the day, if you go to the doctor, you get your physical done, they tell you that you're all right, well, guess what? You just got a clean bill of health. You can go ahead and move on your life, and that's just one less thing on your back that you have to worry about anymore. And guys, I'm not sitting here saying that don't take supplements and don't take vitamins or any of that stuff. I'm not saying that at all. So please don't jump on there and attack me for that. That's not what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is, if you're having any signs or symptoms, or you've been drinking for a long period of time, please go see a doctor. And even if you aren't a drinker or whatnot, please just go once a year and have a physical done. Most health insurance companies will just cover a physical. They would rather you get a physical done because they can go ahead, like I said, it's being proactive. And the health insurance company will pat you on the back for that. It's a free ride. They're not worried about it. You're not going to get charged most of the time for a physical. You can go in there, have it done, and then the insurance company knows, okay, this guy's healthy. But it just is so much better to go ahead. Don't procrastinate. Go ahead. Call your doctor. And I know there's some places in the world, in America, we have our own medical system, and there's some flawed things about it, and there's some flawed things about other medical systems. And one of them is in the countries that have, socialized healthcare. It's hard sometimes to get into a doctor. You can't really doctor shop around. You get a doctor and you're kind of stuck with that doctor. From what I understand, I live in America, so we don't have socialized medicine here. But from what I understand, if you get a doctor in a country that has socialized medicine, that your doctor's pretty much your doctor from that point forward. And I understand that at some points, like if you hit a certain age, there's certain things they're not going to do for you, that if they find out, if you have cirrhosis or whatnot and you're 75 years old, they might say, we're sorry, but we're not going to do this procedure or that procedure because you've already hit this age. And I get that. Here in America, if you got the money and the health insurance, pretty much they're going to do whatever you need to have done. And that's one of the good things about the American healthcare system. But at the same time, there are some flawed things about it as well. If you don't have the money, you might not get that life-saving procedure done. You might be 25 years old and don't have health insurance and don't have enough money to get a TIPS procedure done. And they might just say, we're sorry, you can't afford it, we're not going to do it. Whereas in a socialized country, you could get that done maybe. But the point to all this is, and I don't want to just keep going off on other tangents, please guys, if you're having any symptoms, if you've been drinking for a long period of time, or if you're just, if you haven't seen a doctor in some time, just go to the doctor and get checked. It's so much better to be proactive about this than to go on the back end like I did. I waited too late. I waited far too late. And I found out that I have liver disease and chronic pancreatitis and all this stuff after I'd already gotten sick, and there really wasn't a whole lot they could do for me at that point. So anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I just really wanted to give you guys a little bit of motivation to maybe go see a doctor and get checked. And like I said, if you get a clean bill of health, then guess what? That's just one less thing on your back now, and you can move on with your life. And that's all I'm saying. And if you do have something wrong, well, they can go ahead and start addressing it, and maybe they can fix whatever problem that you have. So, guys, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here for today. I am going to add a link to a video that I watched this morning that had to do with cirrhosis. I found the video to be very informational. It's got a lot of great information. All kinds of different points. I found it to be very informative. I really liked the video a lot. I'm going to add that into the pinned comments. I will look for that video of the lady who got cirrhosis, well, not cirrhosis, but she had liver failure, that lived in Texas. I'll see if I can find that one, and I'll try to add that to the pinned comment as well. But I will add that one video in the pinned comment that I was just discussing. But anyway, guys, sorry I didn't get to the comments so fast yesterday. I just got some personal things happen I just rather not discuss, but I just couldn't get to them last night. I'm just having a little bit of a hard time keeping up with everything I've got going on right now. If I don't get to everybody's comments tonight, I will get to them by tomorrow at some point. I've just got a lot going on, and it's just life. But anyway, guys, with that said, I'll see you in tomorrow's video. I love you guys so much, and thank you for watching this if you stuck all the way through the end. Bye-bye.